Welcome to the Happy Workaholic Podcast. I'm your host, Kellyanne Gorman. Over the past 20 years, I've worked in beauty, luxury, corporate, and service-driven industries. I created the opportunity in these careers and in my own businesses that allowed me to travel the world, experience once-in-a-lifetime events, and build brands while providing my expertise to clients all around the globe. Life is short, and when you're given a second chance, you better believe I'm going to take it, celebrate it, and share it with you. This show is intended to elevate your mind, upgrade your business, enhance your life, and become part of a positive and uplifting community. If you're ready to take your business and life to that next level you deserve to be at, this is the show for you. Inspiration, motivation, and determination are what got me to where I am today. Tune in every week to hear from myself, other entrepreneurs, professional patients, small business owners, and fellow podcasters who will be featured on the show. I'm here to remind you to work hard, share your story, follow your dreams, and never, ever give up. Thanks for taking the time to subscribe to the Happy Workaholic Podcast. Today's episode starts now. Hello, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Happy Workaholic Podcast. You guys, I'm so excited because today you are listening to an episode specifically recorded for the Professional Patient series. And you know from all of my shows that I always preach about how owning a business online is a lot. And when you're sick and then when you're feeling awful, you have to navigate through all these symptoms. You know, is it worse if you share or hold back and all the things? So today I get to talk to a fellow entrepreneur, Lauren Eliz Love, and she is the host of the Business Babe podcast, and that show is all about mindset, strategy, and spirituality. And she's also the founder of businessbabe.com. You guys go check out her Instagram. She has so many courses and so much knowledge. But today I want to share with you, the audience, her incredible health journey. And I've shared my entire journey on my show here, as well as all over the internet. And now it's my job to share the journeys of others. So Lauren, welcome.
Oh my God, that introduction was beautiful. Thank you.
I even wrote it down.
Oh, thank you. I love that, Kelly. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm so excited. So I follow you online on Instagram, of course, and I have so many questions for you, and I had to write down really important ones. First of all, thank you for sharing your story, because as an entrepreneur, it's really hard to make that choice. Do I share this part of my life? Do I hide it? And then it's like you're not giving your all because nobody knows you're not sharing that, but it makes you feel bad. And then you have to go, kind of find all the pieces of your puzzle together to figure out what is truly wrong with me, why is this happening, and then actually work throughout the whole entire process and show up and then do the job. So thank you for actually doing that and sharing, because honestly, I started this podcast for that reason, because I needed to share my story. I didn't know how else I was going to make money. I thought I was going to be blind and paralyzed. At the end of the day, all I would have is my voice. So that's how I could share my story. That's how I could make money. And I just did it. And when you go through something traumatic and you go through something health related, it's okay not to share. But at the end of the day, everybody I've always spoken to, they end up sharing later. They just don't feel comfortable at that moment. So I guess my first question to you would be, did you think about that when you started your journey of going through what was actually wrong with you? And then can you also share how you found out?
Yeah, for sure. I think, vulnerability for me and my brand is one of the most important values. We talk a lot about building the values of your company and really establishing what you stand for when you're growing a business. I talk a lot about that on my show and on my platforms. And for me, vulnerability has always been this thread through and through that I have used for my own healing purposes, but also to help other people in the online space. So when I started to experience health challenges, which I look back and I think every person who has some chronic illness, it's you can remember kind of always feeling shitty and not really recognizing that was not how normal people felt.
At the time, right? Yeah.
Right. Oh, wait, the fact that I was sleeping 10 hours a day, oh, that's not normal, right? There's these light bulbs that you have looking back. So for me, I really struggled with fatigue. That was always kind of the first issue that came up for me as a challenge when I was growing my business. And I equated that to, years of abusing my body, years of unhealthy eating. Maybe it had to do with, being on overnight shift when I was in corporate America. I had all of these stories for why I had fatigue. And I never really talked about it because I thought it was normal. And it wasn't until probably this past year and a half that I noticed my symptoms started to get worse and started to get more dynamic. So it wasn't just about fatigue. I was experiencing skin on fire rashes. I was losing track of my sentences. I couldn't keep my thoughts together and straight. And I knew I was navigating something that was really serious, but I wasn't sure what it was. And I think for many people who are sharing vulnerably about something, like you had touched on, Kelly, you kind of wait till you figure things out and then you share after the fact. And that just didn't really sit right with me because I knew that this was something I would be navigating for a really long time. And even now, I'm still piecing together what my symptoms are. So to tell your audience what's going on, I have Lyme disease. I've been diagnosed with Lyme disease and 3 co-infections. They're called Borrelia, Babesia, and Anaplasmosis. And these are all co-infections that exist within a bug. So that's what I've been navigating. But I think to answer your question about do I share now or do I share later, I think for me, I really want the world of women out there to know that it's okay to navigate things with uncertainty and imperfection and not really know the end perfect outcome. You can still talk and you can still share and you can still speak your truth about what you're going through to help other people, even if you don't have all the answers yet.
And thanks for saying that. I mean, honestly, how the show started, I didn't know how to record a podcast. I didn't know what I was doing. And now I have a whole entire production company because I launched my show. And that's all amazing. I wanted to do is just help other people with autoimmune diseases. Because usually when you have one, there's more hidden.
Oh, yeah.
So when you were going through all of these side effects from prescription medications, or when you were going through and realizing like, yeah, the 10 hours of sleep isn't normal, are you somebody that keeps track of all of that, or you just remember, or do you put it in notes on your phone? Like, were you then like, okay, I really need to make sure like all of this is together when I present it to this doctor, like help me figure out what's wrong with me?
Yeah. So the way that everything unraveled was really interesting, and I think, just on a topic unrelated to business, anybody who's going through a chronic health issue, I feel for you so deeply because you've probably been to like 1 million doctors, and you've probably heard 1 million different things, 90% of which are not hopeful or positive, very discouraging. And that was the case for me. I thought, many people thought I was going crazy. I had a doctor tell me that I needed to see a psychologist. I had another doctor tell me, you're probably never going to figure out what this is. That's what she said to me. I had another doctor say, I don't understand why you're in my office. You shouldn't be here. You should be at this type of doctor. So I was getting the runaround, back and forth. And every doctor, it felt like every doctor was giving me a failure. But what was really going on was every doctor was giving me a step closer to what I had by telling me what I didn't have. And that was a really hard process to follow. I don't want to discredit Western medicine, but for me, it was really challenging. I had doctors who would not give me a test for Lyme disease, even though I was really confident that that's what I had going on. And I remember I went to a functional medicine doctor, and I believed that at this point in my journey, I was like, oh, it's something in my gut. It's a gut issue. And I was piecing things together with her. She was asking me all these questions, and I was looking at my Instagram feed to see like, okay, well, where did the symptoms start? I could look back on my Instagram.
Me too. I always go to my Instagram because I documented the whole entire thing. I'm like, thank God for Instagram highlights.
Yes. That's really how I kept track of things. And I went back and I looked and I was like, oh my God, wait, I got this weird bug bite over here last year in July. I remember, and there's a picture of me and I was in pain. And then after that, oh my God, that's when it started. So that was where I could kind of piece things together and have that breakthrough. But in terms of the prescriptions and getting, negative side effects and, not having good feedback, I've spent years on pharmaceuticals between the ages of 16 and 24. And my body's very sensitive now to taking prescription pills, whether they be antibiotics or
Mine too.
anti-anxiety pills, whatever. So I try to stay away from all of that. And it's really important too for women out there, just be an advocate for your health. If there's something that doesn't fit right for you or feel aligned for you, it's okay to speak that to a doctor and find somebody who will respect what it is that you want for your own wellness journey. That's important.
I love that you said that. And also, I was on a call with a medical expert the other day who's coming on this series, and she was preaching the same thing as a doctor, how you need multiple opinions. I had 11 neurologists involved in my case.
Wow.
All over the United States. And I fought for that. Like, I fought to get an answer, and then I fought to prove them all wrong. And for those of you listening, it's okay to go the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, because when you have that feeling in your gut, there's no stopping you. And that's with business, that's with health. Like, that's not the answer. So you felt that. You were like, no, something else, this doesn't add up. And I love that you have the timeline. And that's the great thing with social media. And even if you do need a timeline, like, have a private Instagram and document. Because with my memory is awful from withdrawing from all these meds and chemo and all this stuff. So all I have is my Instagram and the lovely little app called Time Hop. And that reminds me of my whole entire process. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's when it all clicked. Or yeah, I shouldn't have been sleeping those 12 hours. And it all just kind of like makes sense. But you always have to follow your gut, I feel like. And that's what you did. And yeah, I just think it's so important.
Yeah, and I think too, just on the topic of following your gut, there will be people in your life who love you and want you healthy, and they may have other, expectations or ideologies or beliefs about what you should be doing for your health and wellness. And if anybody, friends, family, even doctors are telling you to do something, but your internal compass is telling you to do something else, it is more than okay to trust that internal compass over what you're receiving. I think we're really designed nowadays to just say yes to whatever a doctor tells us. And that's not the way that we should be operating. We live in our bodies every single day. You are in your vessel 24/7. You know when something feels right and when something feels wrong. And nobody is more of an expert about your body and what's right for you than you. So I think that's really, really important for everybody to remember, that even though doctors are helpful and often have great, support for us, we have to always remember that we are our first advocate for help.
And I love that you said that. And I think that honestly, in my opinion, I would think the one thing that would hold somebody back in moving forward with going with their gut are the people around them.
Yeah.
Their family, their partner, their friends saying, or just the internet, no, that's the best doctor. But everybody's body is so different. It's not, they're practicing medicine, as everyone says. They're absolutely practicing, because everybody's body is different. You and I could have the same exact thing, the same exact way, but the way that our bodies react are completely different. And that's something else I wanted to talk about with you, is that you shared this water fast. And when I was scrolling through your Instagram stories, you were very strategic in saying, it's very important to say, and I say it all the time, I'm not a medical expert, I'm a professional patient, which is the name of this series for a reason. You have to do your research, and you are sharing your journey, how you feel, why you're doing it. Somebody else is going to watch your stories and say, oh, well, it's okay for her, and then they end up in the hospital. No, you need to do your research. You need to organize your own records. So I really love that you always put that first, because that's so important. And people just jump on the next train, like, oh, I want to do a water fast, or I want to juice, or I want to do that. And then they're wondering why they can't breathe, or like that they might find out something's wrong with them, and it got triggered because of what they're doing to their own body. So I love that you said that, because not a lot of people do that. Once they share their story, they're just pushing out all this content, and then they become like an affiliate, and they're like, their product's amazing. You're like, no, like, this is real life. Like, you were showing yourself in bed with the water fast and all of that. So can you share with us now the first steps you really took? So we already know, like, you did your research when it came time to heal your body. You figured out the ways, like, how do I want to do it? So take us on the journey of the water fast, because I'm so interested in this. Like this is the number one thing I wanted to ask you about. And I started writing down, I'm like, the water fast, the cleanse, like I have so much. And then also I want to ask you this because I might forget, but there is this test and I forget the name and I'm not sure if you've taken it. You can only get it from a functional MD. It's about like $3,500 and it tests the toxins. And if you have Lyme and mold and toxins, that's the only test that you can get that shows you that.
Yeah, I think you're referring to what I had done. It's called the IGeneX test.
Maybe.
IGeneX.
It's the only one that you can get that's like from functional side.
Yes.
That's the only thing that, this is why I'm obsessed with like cleansing and like healing, because that's the only thing that's going to tell you what's left from popping pills and doing harm to your body. But when you did the research, what made you go that route of the water?
Sure. Yeah. So, okay. So I think this is important to mention. I had about 9 months of severe debilitating symptoms with no explanation to what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So for 9 months, I was thinking it was one thing and trying, protocol and not getting a result, and then thinking it was another thing and trying and not getting a result. And all the while, my symptoms are getting worse and worse. In the meantime, I found a doctor who supported my belief that it was Lyme disease. And she sent me lab results. She said, here's what you can do. I have this test. It's called an IGeneX test. It's, you need a special doctor to order it. We're going to have a phlebotomist come to your house because I couldn't leave my home. Couldn't get out of bed. Also, COVID was going on, right? She's like,
oh my God, that's right. Yeah.
Phlebotomist will come to your house. You do the blood work, and then, we'll see what the results say. It'll take 2.5 weeks. Now, with COVID going on, I couldn't allow anybody into my home because my husband he has a condition that can make him really susceptible to the dangerous sides of COVID, and I wanted to protect him. So we kind of came up with this agreement of like, look, let's wait till this specific date to get somebody to come into the house. And I'm like, okay, that means, I got to wait like a month more. I don't know if I can do this.
Oh
a
my
month
God.
With no answers, no results, between
Seems like a
waiting
year.
for the lab reports, getting the phlebotomist there, waiting for COVID to pass. What can I do in a month that will help my body? If it is Lyme disease, if it is this issue, what can I do now? And I started to research, and I think the way that research now for me goes is that I explore the options in front of me. And when one of those options feels like it makes sense and gets me excited and feels aligned, I will go down that route. And then that route will show me the next thing to do and the next thing to do and the next thing to do. So it's not like, I put into Google and it says, okay, do 1, 2, and 3 and you're done. It's a step-by-step process of trying to find the answer, right? So at the time, I found medical medium Anthony William, who
so amazing.
He's absolutely incredible. And for those of you who don't know who he is and what he does, and maybe you're not into the whole woo thing, his principles and his beliefs make a lot of sense. We live in an incredibly toxic environment. We as human beings are not designed to live in incredibly toxic environments, but we are. And this is why everybody gains weight. Like, I think 75% of the population has chronic health issues. Right, a severe amount of people struggle with diabetes, and the reason for all of this is because our bodies have our livers in overdrive, and your liver's job is to remove all of the toxicity in your body. So when you have heavy metals, your liver is responsible for flushing that out. When you have mold, your liver is responsible. When you have Lyme bacteria, your liver. Epstein-Barr, your liver. Now, if you're eating high-fat foods, like if you're on a ketogenic diet, if you're eating a lot of protein, your liver already is doing a lot of work to remove those things in your digestion, in addition to any of the toxicity that exists within your system, right? So that his belief is, let's give the liver a break. Let's restart your system. Let's put nourishing, beautiful, life-giving food into your body, and let's see what happens. So I'm now researching medical medium. I'm like, okay, this is it. I'm going to heal my liver. This is going to be, the answer to everything. And I found a couple of people who had done water fasts to kill the bacteria within their body, because the bacteria thrives off of processed food, dairy, eggs, protein. And if you give your body a break from those things, you can kill off some of this bacteria. It was definitely a mind over matter sort of experience to not eat for 14 days and just to have water. But there were a lot of things I had to do as a precaution. Like my husband had to take my blood pressure and my temperature 4 times a day, making sure that I was, getting enough fluid, making sure I was laying in bed as often as possible. And the first round was significantly harder than the second round just because my body was more toxic. But it gets easier and easier the more that you do it.
I feel like that's one of the things that's the hardest is detoxing and healing. And people don't realize that. I mean, my therapist alone every week, she's like, your body's trying to heal. I'm like, I know, you're right. I need to sleep. I need to sleep it off. Like right now, before we started recording, I was telling you about my colon cleanse. Yesterday, I took a nap. I just passed out. I did a sound bath, that's like my new obsession. And I was out for 25 minutes. And then I'm like, of course I need to rest. I'm doing a cleanse. I just forget because I'm doing another version. But the healing process alone is so beneficial for your body, but it takes more strength to get through that sometimes, I feel like, than figuring out what's wrong with you, because now you have to fix the problem.
Yes, and your body is, if you just think about it, if you've never done a detox or a cleanse, and these are like taboo words these days that people just throw around, but if you've never done anything to give your body a release, you have 20 to 30 to 40 to 50 years of toxicity in your system. It's going to feel uncomfortable, of course, and that is the most important work you do. Often, I think in Western medicine, it's like, what can I put into my body to heal these issues? But in Eastern practice, it's let me give my body a rest so that my body can release the stuff that's actually making it sick. And cleansing is so, oh my gosh, it's so powerful. I swear by it.
I do too. And I feel like once you experience it, honestly, I feel like the first time is never enough. You need to do it for the second time to appreciate the first, to really feel how you feel. Like with the water, was that part of your research? Is everybody did it twice, like the second round? Is that part of kind of that system specifically for that? Or no, you chose that?
I think for me, the first time I did it, I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
So I did it to experience it. And detoxing is also very spiritual. It's very emotionally releasing.
Oh yeah.
And the first time was really, really hard for me. And I knew when I came out of it, there was still more work that I had to do. So that's when I decided I was going to go back in for a second round. And the second round was actually, I think, more healing and more repairing and restorative than the first round, which was really aggressive, just uncomfortable, just very uncomfortable. It felt like my bones were breaking. I felt like an alcoholic going through withdrawals.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, it was hard.
Do you know when I found medical medium was so I found out I was misdiagnosed January 23rd, 2019. So I was on 12 prescription meds, and my last chemo was a couple months before, and I was actually overdosed. So the normal protocol was 2 chemos a year, and I did 8 in a couple months. Yeah. So
oh my God.
12 prescription meds for anxiety, for depression, for nerve damage. I mean, all the big ones. I was on all of them. And I came across medical medium the month that I met with the therapist, the psychiatrist, the psychologist, everybody involved in how to taper me off these drugs. And that was, I think, February, because it was January 23rd. So I think I started the first week of February. And everybody had their plan. This is how you taper off. And Heal had come out, that documentary. Yeah. And I was like, this woman. And then one of the doctors that was on there, I started researching her. Having a disease, all you do is research. It's a whole nother job. I say this to everyone. And so she's a doctor in the city. She's in New York. And I was researching her, and I came across a case study of one of her patients, and she was on one of the same drugs I was on. It took her 1.5 years to taper off this drug. And I was like, oh, hell no. Like, I'm not doing this. Like, when you have that thought in your mind and you want to, like, release the toxins, it's like you're going to live a nightmare for another year and a half. That didn't make any sense to me. So I found the medical medium, and that's when I was starting the celery juice. And for those of you listening, please just go research medical medium, because the stuff that comes out of his mouth is like beyond, and his recipes and everything. His celery juice was what I used every single morning, and I drink iced coffee every single day. The fact that I gave that up for the first thing consumed, and I was determined to consume the celery juice first, helped me withdraw and basically not want to kill myself, not be severely depressed anymore, have the worst symptoms of withdrawing from not 1 but 12 pills. In a month and a half, I took myself off everything, which is insane. And I had really, really dark days. I'm not going to lie. Like 4 or 5 days, I had to be in the dark in my room because of the migraines. And I never really experienced a migraine until I was coming off these heavy drugs. But celery juice is what I did so many episodes and Facebook Lives on this because I couldn't believe it. I was like, how is a vegetable helping me detox? And at the end of the day, now I want to kill myself, because that's what everybody was saying. You can't come off these drugs so fast. And I'm like, listen, I'm not waiting around. Like, I'm not going to taper down this dose anymore. That's not the smartest, and I don't recommend doing that. But for me, that's what I needed. Again, like going back to our conversation before, where at the end of the day, it's your body. I can't have a friend who's been with me through the whole journey, or a doctor say, this is the only way. It's not the only way. Because everybody's body is different and how we react. And that celery juice literally saved my life, because I had some pretty dark days coming off all those drugs. And I was like, I just got to stay through it. I watched Heal a couple more times. And then that's when like all my research in juicing and healing and all of that really, like, you know, once you start, you're like, the whole world just opens. And a couple months ago, I saw you and a couple of your girlfriends went to Costa Rica, and I was following your trip to Rhythmia, and I signed up for the newsletter, and I'm like, this is the next step, because when you're sick and when you're on drugs and you go through a traumatic experience, you're going to have some anxiety and depression and previous trauma and PTSD, and you have to work through that shit. So can you briefly explain first of all, why you went to Rhythmia and what you got out of it, so that they know like what type of experience this is, because this is what I want to do next. When the flight's open, I need to go.
It was, you know, plants have such healing power. I know we're talking about celery juice, but plants in general just have so much power of healing within them. And there are many plants that act as DMT enhancers within the brain. Things like psilocybin, mushrooms, right, psychedelics, and ayahuasca, also known as yahe in certain cultures, or grandmother Aya, we call it all different things. But she is an incredible healer and teacher. And for those of you who are feeling the craving to deepen your connection with your higher power, to deepen your connection with self and with spirit, plant medicine can often be something that we're very attracted to do that, which is, I think, why you're having this conversation with me right now, right? There's a part of you that wants to open up in a deeper way than already exists in your current reality. They often say that psychedelics can do what it takes years to do in therapy. You know, say, in one plant ceremony, they call them ceremonies. In one plant ceremony, I accomplished what took me 9 years of therapy to do. And for me, that was incredibly accurate. You know, just to give you a taste and a peek inside, Rhythmia is a healing facility, and it's a center. And so you go there, and it's they have doctors on staff. They're highly trained. They have the shamans and the facilitators, and they also have professional EMTs, right? They're really, really careful, and they have this whole experience within a resort. So up until Rhythmia was created, many people would travel to Peru or Costa Rica and these indigenous cultures, Brazil, and have these experiences that, you know, didn't really, for me looking at, didn't really feel safe or didn't feel aligned for me to go and do. I liked rhythmia because it was taking something that was not Western and putting it in a Western environment that made me feel a little bit more safe and secure. So I went to Rhythmia with the intention of healing from years of trauma. I've talked openly a lot about what I've been through in my life, but I'm a survivor of rape and sexual assault when I was 13, and then again when I was 19. And I had for years taken antipsychotics and antidepressants and anti-anxiety pills to suppress and numb some of the emotions that I was really just avoiding because I didn't know I could release them. I thought I'd have to live with them for the rest of my life. So as I've deepened my connection with spirituality, I've reduced these numbing agents, right? I've gotten sober. I'm a year and a half without alcohol. I'm almost 2 years now without any medication in my body. And so a lot of these emotions that I've been suppressing for a long time, I've wanted to work through them. So I went to Rhythmia, and I was also having these health challenges at the time. And in my psychedelic hallucinations,
that's crazy.
You get a bucket, right? They tell you because these grandmother Aya she's a purger, so she will release through, you'll either vomit or you'll have massive diarrhea or you'll just be burping all night, but it's just like you're releasing and letting out all of the energy that's been pent up in your system. And I remember feeling so sick and feeling and seeing all of these bugs crawling all over my body, and then looking in my bucket and just seeing a bunch of what looked like little flies. And I think back and I go, oh yeah, because I have Lyme disease. I have all these bugs in my body, and I'm literally hallucinating
oh
all
my
of
God.
these bugs. Yeah, and I didn't even, make that connection. So she's really powerful. She's an incredible teacher. And so I went with my soul sister group. I have a group of friends. We're actually going to Sedona in a couple of weeks. And we do these quarterly travels to just deepen our connection with ourselves and with each other and with our spirit guides and teachers. And Costa Rica was phenomenal. It was one of the biggest shifts of my entire life, and I'm excited to go back. I have 2 more trips planned to Costa Rica this year, given all of the COVID stuff recovering forward. But I do think it's important for people to remember that when you are growing a business, you're most importantly growing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And your job is to always be looking at these areas, I call them the 7 pillars of prosperity, these areas of our lives where we need to be doing better always. And one of them is our physical health, mm-hmm. right? With or without chronic health issues, we should always be looking at improving our physical health. And in addition, our emotional health and our spiritual health, really looking at our relationship with something bigger than us, something greater than us, something more powerful than what we currently think we have control over here. Because it's very hard to grow a business when you think it's entirely up to you. And if you don't do X, Y, and Z, the world's going to end. But growing a business is a lot easier when you have faith in something, when you have faith in your greater power, faith in your purpose, your true soul's calling, and deepening your connection with spirit will allow you to have that faith.
And you know what's funny is that, well, it's not funny, it's a fact. I don't know one person that has come out of an illness that hasn't then healed and gone the spiritual route. Because I have, and everybody else, and it's like, you look back at your former self and you're like, why would I ever act like that or do that or think like that? And now it's like you're in a whole new body. Like, I feel like a completely different person. I talk a different way. I mean, I still have the worst mouth, but like, I just feel like I have this power that, especially like now that I'm done with the legal aspect, like, and so many people are telling me like, this can never be done. You can't heal your body. You can't win a case. You can't feel better. Well, I wanted all of those. And if it wasn't for the spiritual route, and my morning routine and spending time for myself first and foremost, so I can help anybody else around me. But at the end of the day, you have to help yourself first. And I feel like us just sharing this conversation will help so many other people because they don't have it in them. They need like one more like nudge, like, okay, I can do it. I can do it. And it's going to be the hardest thing of their life. I mean, That's how I feel. Do you feel that way? That it was one of the hardest things?
And I think too, Kelly, I think on a deep level, like when I look back at, and I might say something different months from now, but just for where I am in this particular moment, I look back at the struggle that I had and experienced, the journey that brought me here. And it's like, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I understand why I went through what I went through. I understand why I needed to have these challenges and these difficulties. I look at my health and I look at, the months and months and months of not getting answers. And I realized that within those months, I was learning to take my power back, to become the leader of my own destiny and the creator of my outcome, rather than, hoping for the right doctor or getting somebody to, just tell me what to do. I needed to learn how to claim my power. And I think that's very true for a lot of people who go through chronic health challenges. The spiritual awakening comes from recognizing that you are the creator of your destiny in co-creation with something bigger than you, yes, but there's a process of learning to claim your power and learning to heal and take ownership of your healing process. That alone is spiritual and awakening. And that is the reason, right? Like people don't go through these health difficulties and challenges just to be like, great job, sister, you did it, now go move on with your life. No, you go through it so that you can change, and you look back and you go, oh my God, I remember I was so different. It's an awakening. Health issues are awakenings. That's what they're there for.
It truly is. I mean, I had a luxury travel business. I was working in private aviation. I knew nothing about a podcast. I knew Gary Vee had one because I love him and I listened to his. Now, my life is different. I'm a different person, mental, spiritual, emotional, like all aspects. My business is absolutely insane. I'm different from that. And it's like that happened for a reason. And now I know why, because now I can help so many other people. Like I'm creating a medical product now to help others do what I just did because there's nothing there. So I'm like, I would never be able to help all these other people on this next level if I never went through that, So I'm so glad that you came on the show. Like, I've been dying to have you on. And then as soon as you start posting the water cleanse, I was like, this is a whole nother level. Like, we have to talk about this. And now I want to talk about one of my favorite things, which is food. I'm obsessed with creating all these vegan recipes, and I'm not fully vegan yet. I mean, I could be in the kitchen all day. I used to cook on yachts, so it's like, that was a stressful position, but now it's like healing. That's my stress relief. Like, I need to be in the kitchen. And so recently you've been posting your garden. So I want to know, were you a green thumb, but did you choose specific things to grow in your garden for a reason, or like you just like them, or like you're growing a lot of things that you could purchase? So I love that.
I am, yeah. So as I become more spiritual, I think I've really deepened my relationship with the earth. I'm a Capricorn, so my energy is very earth-based. And when I was a kid, I remember I have these, I don't have a lot of really great childhood memories, but I do have several outside with my mom and my dad teaching me, this is how you dig the hole for the tulip, and this is how you take the plant out of the plastic, and this is, how far you bury. And I remember these things. I also remember hating weeding and like doing that type of work. But I think as I've started to get healthy, one of the reasons we were really attracted to this property that we live on is that it's so vast and full of forest. And I was too sick to really go outside and do the heavy lifting work. But as I've gotten better and started to feel well again, we've been growing some things in our garden. And last year we did a lot of zucchini, which if you've never planted, I love zucchini. I could eat it every day.
Me
However,
too.
if you plant it, it takes over the garden box. So
does it really?
Oh my gosh, it grows like crazy. So last year we planted some zucchini, but we ended up basically only getting zucchini in our garden because it just took over everything.
Oh my God.
But this year we went a little bit more diverse. We have butternut squash, spaghetti squash, cucumbers, peppers, onions, chives, scallions, cabbage, broccoli. Like, we've gone to town and we've
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I think for me there's something really beautiful about being able to eat something that you yourself have grown, and so we've been doing that little by little, and our goal eventually is to live off the land and to just have all of the produce that we need for the summer seasons and the fall seasons. And then in the winter, we're actually buying an RV and we're going to be traveling across the country, which I'm very excited about.
So amazing.
So, yeah, that's going to be really fun. And it's been a journey, Kelly, like learning how to get back to my passions and my hobbies, right? You said so yourself, like being in the kitchen is very therapeutic for me as well. But it took me some time to like get back into that, because I was, for many months, I couldn't get out of bed to do those things. So I'm kind of finding my way again, and it's been really fun.
And the one thing I would say, like, I am somebody that has zero patience, but in the past, however, now learning how to heal, I would say the first thing you need is patience, because you do not know how long this process is going to take. I'm still doing it, and it's like a year and a half later, and you just learn so much more about yourself each step you take. Like, I would assume you being outside, it's very grounding and therapeutic situation where you could go to Sprouts, or you don't have Sprouts, you could go to the market, but why would you do that? You have it right there. It's beneficial on like so many aspects.
Yeah. And, I think, too, it's, like, even now we're going to the farmers markets and just really enjoying that.
Yeah.
It being an advocate for your health, I think it just really starts with going back to the simplicity, going back to the basics, and going back into that root earth element. And, for many people, that can be very simple. That can be just saying, I'm going to buy more fruits and vegetables from the market. That could be, I'm going to make a garden. It could be, I'm going to start I'm going to do recycling, or I'm going to replace all my plastic containers with glass. There are small things you can do little by little, but just getting back to the basics. Course correction is important.
I'm doing that now. Less chemicals and products, like no more air freshener, getting rid of the plastic, using glass. I mean, it's like baby steps, and that's a journey in itself. What's one thing that is next on your healing journey that's on your list that you have yet to do? There's so many.
What's next? So right now I'm following a protocol from a functional medicine doctor. I'm taking herbs, and I have to slowly increase my herbal regimen. Like every 3 days she gives me like a new updated dose. So I'm doing that, and in addition I'm also doing sauna therapy and red light therapy. So I bought a sauna cocoon bag. It's like you just lay on the floor in this big bag that heats up and you just sweat.
I've done that. It's insane how much you sweat out in those things.
It's been really hot. So this is my 3rd day in a row doing it. I fell asleep and I was listening to binaural beats, and it was so relaxing.
Oh yeah.
But really getting my lymphatic system back in order is a priority. So I'm jumping on the rebounder every day, and then I do the higher dose sauna. It's called Higher Dose, the company. I do the sauna bag, take a shower, do red light therapy. I have a big red light therapy machine.
Is it Juve?
And so,
Juve? Do you use the Juve red light?
Yes, I think that's actually the name of. Yeah, that's interesting.
They're the best. They have a little handheld too.
Yeah, I have the big one. I'm actually gonna pull it up because I'm curious if that's the name of the.
JOOV. You can actually get pieces and put together an entire wall. That's what they do on the commercial side. They sell it to spas, and you walk into a room, and like your whole life is gonna change with red light therapy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one it's really big. I actually just got it, and it's I really, really enjoy it. It's very, very effective.
Yeah. I have red light in my office and purple lighting in my room, and just changing the lighting alone between your mood, your senses, like it does wonders. People don't understand until you really try it. Don't knock until you try it.
So this company that I'm using, it's called Red Therapy Co.
Oh, I'll have to look at it.
And I got a 720 Red Rush, which is like it's a big device, and you can hang it on your wall.
Oh, nice.
So I'm doing that, and then I'm also trying to grow my energy level back again.
Yeah. By
working out and exercising, which is something that I haven't had the ability to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to trying to work on that slowly, getting my energy back. Yeah.
It takes a while, but you're definitely going to get there. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your healing journey, because now everybody will know how much time you have to invest into healing to share your story on my show, because it's more people like us that are open and sharing, where we're able to help more, searching for this type of content. What do I do next? How do I get the strength to do more, heal more? So I really appreciate you coming on. I'm so grateful for your time and everything you're sharing on your Instagram. I will put all your links in the notes so everybody can go follow you and see what happens when you turn on the red light in your garden.
Thank you. Thank you, Kelly, for having me. This was beautiful. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. I'll talk to you soon. Your time is so valuable, and I really appreciate you carving out a little piece of your day to listen to today's episode. If you liked this one, please share it with someone who you feel needs to hear this message. And don't forget to tag me at The Happy Workaholic on Facebook and Instagram so I can feature you on my stories. Listening on Apple Podcasts? I would love it if you would leave me a review on today's show. Your input means so much and also helps me create more of the content you'll love. Want to continue today's conversation? You can join us in the Happy Workaholic Network Facebook group. Simply answer the questions and you're in. For more information on myself and to get the latest in business, LinkedIn, organizing, and podcasting news, sign up to receive my weekly newsletter at thehappyworkaholic.com. I hope that your day continues to be happy, healthy, positive, and productive, and I'll talk to you again soon.